Welcome back to Bonanza Disc Golf. And today we're going to actually be talking with a licensed athletic trainer who's actually training me and programmed some workouts for me specifically designed around disc golf. Because honestly, over the next couple of years, I don't know if it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, it's going to be a requirement to be a professional to be going to the gym because of injury prevention and just getting better at the game, because there are some things that the strength that lifting will provide you and the longevity will just be necessary if you want to compete at the top level. So we're going to talk to Josh, and I'm just going to let him introduce himself real fast.
I'm Josh Wentz. I like to be known as the injury prevention guy, really focused around preventing injuries, specifically in sports, which is how I got started and where my passion comes from. I played baseball growing up, had a lot of shoulder pain, was taking 4 or 5 ibuprofen before every baseball game, which is definitely not good for you. I was passionate about baseball and wanted to be out on the field. That was the sacrifice that needed to be made for that. So that's where the passion really comes from, is my own injury, not wanting other players to have to experience that, falling behind skill-wise because of a nagging injury.
Now, the way that we actually got connected is because I had been talking at the beginning of Project 100 that we needed to do non-disc golf workouts as well as hitting up the field or the net. In one of those videos, Josh had actually reached out to me, and so we were able to connect a little bit. And so I'll let him talk about that, but I also included this section from our interview because I think it shows kind of where I'm at right now with my mindset of thinking about trying to get to the Pro Tour or just cash at a Pro Tour event. And that just led seamlessly into talking about his philosophy with lifting and disc golf and why it's so important.
I knew his goal is his goal, and I'm 100% confident that he's going to achieve it. Is playing on the Pro Tour.
That makes one of us at this point, honestly.
Oh, it's there.
The confident. I saw a good quote the other day. How are you able to stay super confident to continue training and things like, don't you ever waver? And I totally am going to butcher this response. Maybe I'll find it, put it on the screen, but the confidence comes and goes, but practicing and the consistency is that will always carry you through. So it's confidence comes and goes, even at a lot of those elite levels. I'm right now I'm in a very not that stage, which I think is a real thing to show on the journey, but that can come and go as long as I continue training and working towards it and making it happen. So
there's ebbs and flows of it. So working with athletes, I know is what I'm supposed to do in my downtime. That is literally all I think about. Is how I can help athletes. And when I see injuries in various sports, this is a disc golf channel, so I'll even relate it to that. You see the 3 main things that I focus on: every exercise, every rep, every set, every movement are training at a pain-free level. So every time you are doing an exercise, is it pain-free? That's a question you should ask yourself. Eagle, literally going from probably a top 5, top 10 forehand in disc golf to not throwing a single one. See guys like Simon going down, missing some tournaments, Macbeth missing some tournaments, Paul Ulibarri missing some tournaments because of injuries. And obviously disc golf is a non-contact sport, but obviously an overuse sport. Something that doesn't get talked about a lot is preventing those injuries. A lot of time it gets chalked up to, hey, this is an overuse injury, which is true, but there's also ways that I believe and have seen firsthand that you can prevent those. My passion is and connecting with you, somebody that's on that path of trying to get to the professional league. You don't have time to be injured. If an injury is putting you out, even right now, you're dealing with a little bit of elbow pain. If that gets worse, that sets you back another year. It sets you back 2 years, and at that point, we're starting to lose time.
Yeah, and I'm already feeling that right now with the way that my elbow feels. It's definitely it's something that I feel is manageable for sure, and is decreasing and going down. I'm not able to get to the field or to the net as much as I want to, because I know there are things that I'm seeing changing in my form, and it's going well and good. But if I'm trying to continue throwing hard and work on those distance shots, I have a shot count that I'm thinking about every day. I'm I don't want to overuse this right now, because I know that it's getting better, but it's not there yet. And that's one of the reasons why I was really excited to work with someone who understood that side of injury prevention and lifting, because I kind of put a call out, which is one of the things that I think that one of the reasons you reached out is I was man, I want to lift. I know it's important. I know not enough people are talking about it in disc golf, but in every sport, you hear about golfers being in the gym, and that's not a contact thing. They aren't doing run-ups and other things. They're not contorting their bodies in weird positions and weird lies in the same way, but they're still getting to the gym. And they're not getting bulky, but they're doing something there. So I knew that there was something there. And I think that that's the way that the sport is moving in the next 5-10 years. Everybody's going to be in the gym preseason, off season, during the season. And I want to be on the forefront of that, because if I'm wanting to become a pro now, and I'm 25, I don't have the time to waste to like only do the small things that'll get me to that level. I want to be doing everything I can to give myself that advantage. Examples that I think are really cool right now to look at are like, one is Brody Smith, who this offseason really hasn't touched discs. And like,
I just watched that video today.
Yeah, just like serious respect for him. I think he's really trying to like set the pace for athletes in the sport, because like, and that's one of the things I'm excited with my move is my main goal is not to be like, oh, I'm just going to treat myself like a disc golfer. I want to treat myself like a professional athlete in disc golf, and like with my diet, with my workouts, with my sleep, with my recovery patterns, with how much I'm throwing, and like the ways that I'm looking at training. I want to treat myself like that. And I think that Brody has shown like he's down like a ton of weight over this offseason, looks way better. And like that is going to help him on the longer courses to play better over the long run. And more importantly to me, which is one of the things that you're helping with, is building sustainable habits. Not just like, oh, during this offseason, I'm going to do all this, but I'm actually going to change my lifestyle, and I'm going to make it so that I have a workout and lifting plan that is good for now, but also throughout the rest of the season and then into the next office season. Like, what are the next goals and the new things that we want to be able to work on with that?
My job as your trainer and somebody that works with professional athletes is to, yes, I have an ideal goal of what I would like workouts to look like, but there's also, here's where we're at, and I need to, as my job, balance the in between wherever we're at on that spectrum of here's where I want us to be, here's where we're at. I need to balance that spectrum and figure out where my athlete's at and work with them. For instance, we were at 5 days a week that I planned out. It wasn't working. A, because Anthony's getting back into working out, and B, he lives out of a van. So there's not as much option. He spends 20 to 25, 30 hours a week just trying to live. Working out on top of that was an added stress. And so we bumped it down to 3 days a week and gave him some things that he can do that don't require going to a gym. And so finding that balance is part of my job. Doesn't need to be on Anthony's shoulders, because he's the one focusing. His job is to try and be the best disc golfer he can. My job is to help and aid in that. So.
And I know that information just comes from a lot of places nowadays. And that's why on this channel, I'm never trying to be a coach. I'm never trying to be an outlet for beginners to learn how to play disc golf. I'm just wanting to share my journey, and hopefully that inspires some people. And I know that some people have said that they've gotten better through watching my channel. That's not the main purpose of this channel, to be honest with you. Take what you want from these videos, but verify it through people who are trying to be coaches and who are more knowledgeable in some of the things that I talk about, because I just share my experience. And this leads me into the credentials that Josh has with lifting and getting training, and why he's transitioning that into disc golf.
Yep, 100%. I went to college, and I am a licensed athletic trainer. I have been doing bodywork focused manual therapy since January of 2017. Pretty much any age, any walk of life, get out of pain through manual therapy, through massage, and then also on top of that, adding in exercises that are going to help keep them pain-free. Worked as a personal trainer. Currently, I am working for a company called NovaCare, contracted through Delta, and helping, they call them industrial athletes, helping them with work injuries, non-work injuries. And then on the side, running my business, working with athletes, helping them, A, prevent injury, and B, optimize their athletic performance.
And I think that leads perfectly into the workout plan, because I do think that is kind of two steps, like you just said, is the preventing injury and optimizing performance, because I would love to be able to optimize my performance, but I'm a little injured right now, so I can't do that. And so I think your philosophy too with this is going to be perfect. So what's your, when you look at disc golfers and how lifting, weight training specifically, whether that's body weight training, or weights in the gym, how do you see those two kind of coinciding? What's your philosophy on that? And then
100%. So disc golfers, I'd probably say for the most part, I don't know the exact stats on it, but it's a high percentage that do not work out. I've talked to a lot of them, or a decent amount of them, and for the most part, disc golf is how they work out. Working out is part of being a professional sport and being a sport in general. I realize there is recreational disc golf, and Do you need to work out for that to be a recreational disc golf player? Absolutely not. But if you want to be at the top of your game, you're going to need to work out, because if you're not, these young kids that are coming up that are playing disc golf because they know it is a professional sport and they're attacking it as that. I've seen some of these kids out here. I went to a putting league and there's an 11-year-old kid was on the amateur or went and played at Junior World and realizes the importance and realizes the potential that's in disc golf and is already throwing 350 feet and putting out of his mind. Like there's kids coming. So if these guys that are on tour right now are not realizing that they need to work out, they're going to start getting left behind. Working out with disc golf looks obviously a lot different than other sports. So my focus is looking through the mechanics and playing disc golf recreationally, can understand those mechanics a little bit better. And so breaking down those movements, but also just figuring out where the problem spots are and really writing up a plan, how to avoid those with certain exercises. So the three main things that I focus on: every exercise, every rep, every set, every movement, are training at a pain-free level. So every time you are doing an exercise, is it pain-free? That's a question you should ask yourself. Are you moving through your full range of motion? It's not my full range of motion. It's not Anthony's full range of motion. It's you as the viewer. It's your full range of motion. Are you moving through it? And then are you controlling that movement? Controlling it as in not just flying through the movement when you're doing the eccentric part of the movement. So we have the concentric part of the movement. Eccentric is elongating that muscle. Are we controlling both sides of that? And if we're not able to check those three boxes every time we're doing a movement, not every time we go to the gym, not just every set, every rep, every time, is the importance that we're hitting each three things. And if we can't hit all three of those things, we need to figure out how to regress that movement, make that movement easier so that we are able to check those three boxes every time, because those three things, training pain-free through the full range of motion and controlling the movement, are the key to being pain-free, staying pain-free, and optimizing your performance, making sure that those muscles are trained properly for whatever we do throughout the day.
And that honestly is the main key, because training is going to allow you to do more, not only in disc golf, but in your general life, because you're making yourself do things that are harder than what disc golf or your life will throw at you in the gym in a controlled environment that you can progressively overload, which is like a gym term of making it harder and harder and harder every workout, starting from where you are now to where eventually, hopefully, the workouts that I'm doing are way harder than throwing the hardest sidearm that I can, and therefore I should be able to do that for a lot longer without the risk of injury. And speaking of injury, I had another question for Josh just about that.
What are the main places of injury that you see that you're trying to mitigate by creating like a lifting plan? Especially if you look at some of the top people throwing far, the bracing movement against that right leg, if you're right hand backhand, is a violent looking movement when you look at it in slow motion. The forehand is a violent looking movement when you look at it in slow motion. Like you see the way that it can contort, and like that looks like something that can be very painful for you. But through talking with Josh and like learning about this, like it doesn't have to necessarily be something that can tear if you actually train it right and are doing movements with similar ranges of motion with more weight than you might and more strain that you might put on it in controlled environments that you work up to progressively. And so that's the point of all this, is in doing that, you might be able to even make that a stronger movement and throw it a little bit farther. And so it's not only preventing things, but potentially being able to like throw farther with less pain, do it more accurately because you're not being as fatigued every time you do it, because you put yourself through further strain than you might on the disc golf course. And those are the main reasons why I'm excited to continue on this lifting journey.
Yep. So as you stated, obviously the elbow is going to be a super important one for the forearm specifically, is where it obviously gets the most strain. But with that whipping motion of the backhand as well for either player, that elbow's taking a decent amount of strain as well. That's probably the number one thing that's keeping players out. Guys like Paul Ulibarri, Paul McBeth, Eagle.
Yeah, Kristen too.
So elbow, obviously number one. Shoulder is going to be number two, your dominant shoulder, whichever arm you're throwing with. And so those are kind of the two main hey, this is a disc golf movement. Here are exercises that we're going to work on. And then obviously rotation is a huge aspect. The faster you can rotate, but also the safer you can rotate, the better for speed at which you're releasing that disc, which obviously then equates to distance. But we also want to do that in a safe manner. Getting down into the lower body, that's where a lot of the strength from disc golf comes.
And honestly, all this culminates into my goals with disc golf, which are cashing at a Pro Tour event and kind of just seeing where the chips lie after that point, seeing how high I can get, how good I can get. Maybe that's never cashing. Maybe that is getting a top 25 or making a Pro Tour championship at some point. But ultimately, all of that is going to happen by having proper lifting and nutrition, which is the main thing that we talk about next in terms of getting to the Pro Tour.
The goal of getting to the Pro Tour should not be the end of your goal. His goal is to get to the Pro Tour, but also once he gets there to do well on the Pro Tour. So fighting and grinding your way to just get to the Pro Tour, just solely focusing on disc golf, you're going to run into injury quick. I can't tell you exactly. Each person's different, so I can't break down, hey, within the first year, within the first 2 years, but that injury is coming. Working out is important, not just so that you can throw farther or that you can improve in different aspects of your disc golf, but preventing injury. This is a solo sport. You don't have teammates around you that can guide you and make you a better disc golfer while you're playing a tournament. Yeah, they can help give you tips here and there. You don't have 4 other guys on a basketball court. Like you don't have 10 other guys on a football field. This is an individual sport. So it's on you to stay on the course, because if you're not playing disc golf, you're not making money. Mm-hmm. So working out is extremely important in sports. Disc golf is a sport. Staying injury free is going to be the best outcome for your next contract, for your next paycheck. And injury free is the goal to that. If you're already on the Pro Tour and you're watching this, cool, appreciate it. Call me up. We'll keep you on the Pro Tour, help you prevent injury, or if you're already dealing with an injury, we'll help you get out of that injury, and we'll help you excel past what just playing disc golf can get you. There's percentages that we can improve things and prevent injury all at the same time. It doesn't have to be, am I preventing injury or am I improving at disc golf? It can all be done at the same time. You can find me over on Instagram at Josh Wintz, JoshWintz. You can find me on YouTube at the Injury Prevention Guy. Josh Wintz will also work. Those will both pull up. Those are the 2 main spots. You can find me over on Twitter too. I use that a little bit, not as much, but more video content will for sure be coming on YouTube, with it being such an up and coming sport and something that I'm very passionate about playing myself, but helping athletes more.
So I would definitely go check out Josh's stuff, but I also will be having a lot more content coming around lifting and disc golf and just showing my workouts. We didn't give any specific plans or anything in here, or a lot of specific workouts, because I'd rather just show you what I'm doing, because I'm not licensed to give advice and he doesn't know who you are and what your specific plans are. So we're gonna be sharing my 3 workouts, as well as one thing that I do about 3 times a week, just in order to help strengthen mostly elbow and legs. But those will be coming out soon, so please subscribe for those videos. Thank you so much, Josh, for training me and for being on the channel. Check him out. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. Getting close to my move, just a couple days away. Have some content planned through that, and then we'll see what happens. I might not be daily forever. Okay, love you guys.